Hello, hello, hello. Crafty Chris here for another Scrap Your Scraps Thursday night. Tonight we're going to talk about tools, and the big tool that we're talking about tonight is our friend, the beautiful glass mat. So I'm calling this video Care and Feeding of Your Glass Mat. So a glass mat is a wonderful thing. I love them. I have many of them. This one I just recently purchased because it was so big it took up my usual workspace, and I love that idea. I use my glass mat for everything. I try to avoid putting mixed media stuff like pastes and things on it because there's a little bit more cleanup on it, so I might have a small mat to the side that is like a sticky mat that will do all my stenciling on. And the only reason I do that is because it's easier just to throw that little mat into the sink and wash it than it is to get the dried pastes and things off the mat. Not to say that you can't get the dry paints and things off the mat. So I've got a couple of things here. This mat will do anything. You can draw on it, you can paint on it. I even use, when I'm designing things, I even use this as my layout when I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to build things, and I just use a dry erase marker. And you can use the dry erase eraser, or you can just use your hand. It comes off very easy. And of course you want to make sure that you brush your hand into a garbage, not onto your pants, which I have a tendency to do. Now, the things that are challenging in a glass mat are adhesives and pastes. They require a bit of a different kind of thing. Usually a cleanup on a glass mat is a little bit of water. Just spray some water, and if you have a reusable towel or if you use paper towels, whatever, just wipe down the mat. Or you can use our friend, the wet wipes. But wet wipes do cause garbage, so I try to be a little bit more efficient. I have those because they are handy, but when I know I'm going to sit down and do a lot of work, I have reusable tea towels, old tea towels, and things that I use for cleanup. So I can try to save the environment. Those are really more for travel and when I'm doing just something quick. As I was saying, most cases you can just wipe down this top surface with wet wipes, or even a dry paper towel will pick up, or your cloths that you have around. When you get to the pastes and the tapes and all the other stuff, they have a tendency to stick harder. So like things like glossy accents, dries glitter glue, glaze and glue, what's this one, barely glue, collage medium. Collage medium is tricky. Double-sided tape. What else do I put on here? And on occasion I'm just lazy and I don't get my mat, and I will do my pastes and things on top of the glass mat. So those things will stick really hard. And yes, if you soak the whole mat with water and let it settle, you will be able to lift those really hard stuck on pieces with some time. But I don't know about you, my mat's always in work, and so letting it soak in water so that the water gets underneath it and starts to separate it from the surface of the glass, that takes way too long for me. So I have found that either isopropyl alcohol or straight alcohol or hand sanitizer, those are things that work much better. And how I apply them is, if I have a spot on my mat that is particularly sticky, and I have a couple here, so let's just get this out, and my paper towel. And I reuse paper towels, so I'm not as worried when I use paper towels because I know that I'm going to be putting them into junk journals. So when you have like a spot, where did that spot go? There's a couple of spots here that are stuck on very hard. I have a push container that pushes the alcohol up when I depress it, and I can get a wet surface on. And this is an old, I think, nail polish remover container. And I can just sit and rub that spot. It's already gone. It was such a small spot. But if the spot is larger and requires more work, I find that using a hand sanitizer is really good, especially one that comes with a sort of jelly base, because then you can just put a blop like that and just thinly spread that blop over the spot that is a bit of a mess. Give it about 2 seconds or so, and the alcohol really works to allow you, oh, listen to that clean, to pick up stuff that is chunky. And any leftover, you can go into different spots. And I'm noticing, look, I'm getting blue from when I did that thing. So I did, wiping with my hand was great to get the major part of it off, but you do need to clean it at the end. With that chunky stuff, you're going to want to use your alcohol-based things, either hand sanitizer, isopropyl alcohol, or straight alcohol. With all these sticky guys, they all work together really well. Water, time, if you have it, will always get stuff off glass, and that's the unique thing about glass. Sometimes I find some of my mats I end up having to replace over time, because when I actually push down and rub an area, I'm sort of changing the mat itself. It becomes a little less stable, and over time I've found that they actually end up fraying with that kind of abuse. Whereas glass, as long as you don't drop something on it and crack it, the glass will take a lot more abuse in the cleaning process of things. Now, there's multiple ways for you to be able to stick things down to do your work. That's another area that you want to look into. So we have our different kinds of tape that can stick things down. You can put a vinyl mat on here, a silicone mat on here, and they won't shift or shake. I even use my little mini die cutter, because I found that on my desk surface, there's enough of a texture on my desk surface that that suction cup doesn't stick long enough. So what happens is it will stick for one run through, but then I have to suction it again for the next run through. But on my glass mat, it sticks for the entire time I'm using it. So I don't have any problem with using my die cutter on the glass mat. Really, the glass, and this glass mat luckily is awesome because it is magnetic. I have a little mini mat that goes with it as well, and the magnets stick, but I do have some magnets here I can show you. This is just magnetic bits and pieces, but they stick to my mat. They're covered in, this is leftover stuff from a project somewhere, but they stick to my little sticky hands as well. What else can I tell you about the mat? It's great for watercolor, because your palette when you're adding water into your palette, it really flows well, so you can get really whooshy stuff. And if you're doing like sprays and things like that, where you want to do that tamping technique, there's nothing better than glass, because the glass just lets the water and the dye ink and everything all blend together lovely. So I cannot say enough about glass mats. In terms of use, there is no one way to use them, and they just seem to be durable as long as you don't drop stuff on it, and they're easy to clean. You just got to know what product you're using to clean it. And like I said, water works. You just have to have the time to make sure that water will get underneath, between the gluey layer and the glassy layer. It kind of slips under there over time, and it will lift off as well. So that was a quickie for this week. I hope you learned something from this, and if you're not a glass mat user, I hope that you would consider using a glass mat, because they are excellent surfaces for mixed media or any kind of media. I do my layouts on top of here as well, my paper product building, and that's it. So if you did enjoy this, please share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe at the end of the video if you're not already on my list, and you will get more handy dandy tips over time. And I will see you next week. Bye.